Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're well. I am well. So today I'm making some Scottish cookies or biscuits. These are shortbread cookies, very nice and crumbly and also very simple to make. The recipe is something if I told you now, you'd have it in your head forever. So it is best to start with the butter and half of the butter in sugar. I like to use powdered sugar. You can use caster sugar, especially if you're going to be mixing with a kitchen aid or some kind of mixer. And then the flour will be the amount of sugar, the amount of butter. Does that make sense? So for example, this is 400 grams butter. This is 200 grams sugar. And this is 600 grams flour. All-purpose flour is what you need to use. And that's it. You don't have to add any raising agents or anything like that. Now, the butter is just the perfect amount to blend with the flour and make a coating, both a coating and a crumbly texture. And the sugar is a good enough sweetener, and it always must be half the amount of butter. I like to use a kitchen scale to weigh my ingredients, and so the best thing is to tare and start at 0. Okay, so I'm going to grease this square container, because we want to get a square shape for our dough. I'm gonna line it. This is an air fryer liner I'm using. It works just as well. It works just as well as a baking liner. So I'll set that on the side. So in this large container, I'm gonna start adding my flour. And because the sugar is a powdery consistency, I'll add it together. And then I'll add the butter. It's quite firm. And you know what? I'll add just half a teaspoon of salt. So what salt does in most baked goods is that it brings out the flavor. Okay, so it's a really good thing. It's a really good practice to add salt in baked goods. So I'm gonna just crumble the butter and mix it with my flour until this mixture comes in together. The reason why I'm using my hands, you can use a hand mixer or a kitchen aid. The reason why I'm using my hands is just to show you how simple it is and can be done anywhere in any setting, as long as you have an oven. Hey guys, so I transferred my mixture to the kitchen aid for a better and faster job. I was using very firm butter, and this is a very cold place. My butter was more firm than I would have expected, because I had left it on the counter the night before, so I expected it to be softer. But being as it's winter and we weren't baking much in the kitchen, or there wasn't much activity, so the butter remained cool. So I felt it was too firm to work with my hands. So I took it to the kitchen aid, and now I'm dividing. I've divided half the mix I'll use on the Scottish cookies, and the rest I've divided twice again. So it's like quarter the mixture, and I'm going to use this to bake some butter cookies, but on a different design. These are so delicious and sold all over North America. They are easy to make. You just roll like this once the dough comes together, and you're going to wrap them in a saran wrap and have them freezing for the minimum you should freeze this is about 10 minutes. You want them just a bit firmer so that once you cut through, it's a bit firmer, more firm than it is now. You don't want to cook this when they're very pliable. So we are going to roll them like this, wrap them, and then freeze for 10 minutes. And then without defrosting, we will cut them across, just like portioning, and then we will bake them in the oven for 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. We want them to just gain some color, and then we will shape the rest into Scottish cookies. So as we prepared our tin before, we are going to just spread out this dough. We want it to spread into every corner because we want them perfectly shaped. These are going to be rectangular in shape. And one way that I found easy was using that bench scraper. So now I did that. I spread the mixture and then left it in the freezer for about 10 minutes. It's firm now, and I'm going to just core. I'm not cutting through because I want it to cook evenly. So I'm just coring to get the design. So just marking my lines like this, the long lines, and then I'll have one across the middle just to show where the division is. And then to get that Scottish butter cookie design, I'm going to prick with my fork just like that. A fork gives you the best design, but if you're very steady, you can use a toothpick or a skewer to just score your marks. And you don't have to have as many. You can have as many or as little as you like. For me, that is the design I was going for, and I wanted it perfectly fit in a tin. But just know that you can you can bake this in a pan, a shallow pan, but this works for me. Okay, so now our other butter cookies are ready, and I'm just going to cut them like this. They are a bit firm, but they work. They're firmer than I would have wanted. If you notice that it's rock hard, you can let it sit on the counter for about 5 minutes, no more, because you don't want it getting too soft. So I'm going to let them just like this, spread them out as much as I can. These are not the kind of cookies that spread out when baking, so they're just nice. And of course, they bake faster than the ones in the tin. And I'm just checking the top, because if you press, you're able to know. So this is at the 10-minute mark. There was some color developing on the pan, but I left them for a bit longer. So now they are ready. You don't expect them to brown, although the bottom did. Yeah, you don't expect them to brown much, just enough to have them done. And now it's about like 8 minutes later, these are done. And now before you set them aside to cool, you have to cut through. So we made our marks, and now we cut through firmly with a knife throughout to the bottom, through the marks that we scored, and that is how it looks. So now the cookies are separated, and I left them there for them to cool for about 10 minutes. They're nice and crumbly, not as crumbly as I would have liked. So the only different thing I would do the next time is have the butter a bit warmer. Okay, but these were so delicious. Everybody loved them. So thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.